Hey everyone, sorry I've been away for so long, but I thought I'd pop back in with a new video. More to come soon as well. We're going to start with a Dutch club called AZ Alkmaar. Most people just call them AZ. That's their badge, pretty much the entirety of it right there. Red and white are big colors for them. These guys are also known as Kaaskoppen, which means cheeseheads. So if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, this might be the club in Europe for you to follow. They're renowned for that because the city that they're based in has a medieval cheese market and some of the best cheese in the world that you can find here. The little random things that you should probably know about them are the fact that these guys have won the league title there, the Eredivisie, twice. And that's pretty big for a club that is not part of the big three in the country, that being Ajax, Feyenoord, and PSV. Since 1965, they've won a mass majority of the titles in that league. These guys have won it in 1981 as well as 2009. The only other club, FC Twente, have won it once in that intervening time. So these guys rarely win the league, but in a league like this, it's interesting that they actually take any at all. It's a pretty good club. You can see them on TV in the country here in the Europa Conference League semi-final coming up against West Ham United here on May 11th. This is one of their kits from a couple years ago. It's by Under Armour, as you can see there. I don't have a ton from Under Armour, but every single one that I have is really good quality. It just kind of feels good on your skin. Like, it's a bit stretchier than most of the other kits that I have. It's thicker, but it still breathes. It's really good. And actually, most of my Chilean kits are by Under Armour. I don't know if they have a big deal down there or something, but they do good work. Some cool touches they do. Within the neckline, you can see it says AZ67, so AZ67 being the year that they were founded as a merger of two clubs in the area. They also do that on the back here. You can see the pretty common windmill from the Netherlands, as well as that same AZ67. Fits pretty good too. So here's what else you need to know about AZ Alkmaar. Along with those league titles, they've also won the Dutch Cup 4 times and the Johan Cruyff Shield once. And that's a name you really need to know for Dutch football. We talked about him before. He's one of the most important managers and just students of the game ever. You might hear his last name pronounced Cruyff, but that's kind of a more English way of pronouncing it. Cruyff is towards the Dutch way of saying it. My language isn't that good to say it properly. Look it up because you really want to say this man's name correctly. They named the Shield, so kind of the beginning match of every season in the Netherlands after him because he is the greatest Dutch player of all time. Another thing to know is they're pretty successful in the Europa League, almost season after season. They played there almost every year in the last 15 years, and they've made it to the quarterfinals 3 times and the semifinals once in those intervening years. And with them being in the Europa Conference League semifinals against West Ham coming up here, like I said, on the 11th, and then the return leg on the 18th, they have a good chance of making it to a final. West Ham are a good, solid English club, but they do have the opportunity to kind of stumble when it comes to European matches. Let's take a look at some former players that they have at AZ, because it's become a place where a lot of foreign players from South America, Central American countries, North America, have actually made their first steps into Europe. The big one being Hector Moreno, who moved there from Pumas, where he'd grown up in Mexico, to AZ before taking his steps into Spanish football and others before coming back and is currently at Monterrey. On the American side, Josie Altidore actually played for the club for a stretch, and where he really found his first successful couple seasons in Europe in 2011. And to give you the most important name you need to know about this club, it's going to be Kees Kist, who played in the 1970s. He won the European Golden Boot in '79 with 34 goals, that being kind of an overall goal scoring record anywhere in Europe. Any of the leagues each season, whoever scores the most goals for their team gets the Golden Boot, and it was called the Golden Shoe back then. He was the first Dutchman to ever win the award. And now to the current players in their squad, and we got to start with Tijani Reinders, who is their central midfield kind of engine for the club. He's been key in the European success. Every single knockout match that I've seen them play during the run-in in the Europa Conference, he's come up with a huge match. He's one of their best offensive players. Their main goal-scoring threat is Evangelos Pavlidis, who is their striker and their leading goal scorer this season. And for those interested in the U.S. men's national team, know that Jordi Mihailovic is at the club, and he has just started taking his first steps in Europe, as well as really in the last couple of years getting kind of a foothold in the men's national team, only with a couple caps so far. So I'm glad to be back. Kind of ran through this video a little quick. I'm a little rusty on these, but at the same time, thank you for listening about AZ Alkmaar from the Netherlands.